Brian Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. Today we're talking about the ship's brig. This space is located on the third deck, pretty far aft, near the ship's laundry room, on the port side, also near the enlisted barber shop. The brig is basically a jail on board, and it's specifically a jail for the ship's own crew. It features a couple of holding cells, like the one I'm in, which would be for long-term stuff. Say I'm caught murdering another crew member or something like that. I go into a cell here. Got a bed, got a folding chair, got a bronze mirror. I can't break it and use the glass. It's a slab of metal that's polished. So I can't harm myself or others while I'm in here. You will notice that the cells don't have anywhere to relieve yourself. There was a separate toilet associated with the brig, and when sailors were allowed to relieve themselves, the Marine Guard, who would be in charge of the brig, or the Master at Arms Department during the Vietnam Commission when the ship didn't have Marines, would take the sailor to that space. This is interesting because it is the only freshwater toilet on an Iowa-class battleship. All of the other toilets use saltwater from the ship's fire and flushing main. You are only making a limited amount of fresh water that goes to the boilers first, and then to cooking and galley type stuff, drinking, and then you get some left over for washing, but there isn't extra stuff left over for flushing the toilet. So why did we have one freshwater toilet on these ships? We didn't want the crew to be trying to avoid work by getting sick. And one way to get sick is to drink the salt water that would be in the toilets, and that would make it so that you stay in the brig, or you go to the infirmary instead of the brig, which is a much nicer space. In addition to a number of holding cells, there's also the detention center here. Basically the drunk tank. When a bunch of crew comes back from Liberty intoxicated and are causing trouble, you put them into a big space like this until they sober up. So in general, you don't want to lock your crew up. You want them to be doing work. So time in the brig would generally be short, and the punishment wouldn't so much be in the brig. It would be being isolated from your friends, having to sleep in these awful arrangements, limited food or water rations. Really, you want to use other forms of punishment, restricting pay, restricting liberty, things like that, when sailors misbehave. Now, sometimes people have mental or emotional breakdowns, or really act out in a severe way and have to be locked up for their own safety and the safety of others. That's why this space exists. It does not exist for prisoners of war. Even though New Jersey took prisoners of war on board, they were actually more or less kept with the general population of the crew in a regular berthing space. They were not locked up in a cell like this one. This space was built into the ship as designed, and it continued to serve as the detention center. It shows up on our booklets of general plans all the way up through 1982. By the time the museum got the ship in 1999, the space had been gutted, and some records from the late 80s indicate that this was used as a weight room. So at some point between 82 and 91, the crew of the ship, the Navy, somewhere along the line decided that they didn't need a brig. They weren't using punishments like this where you're locking people up, but they did need another weight room. So this brig that we're sitting in on the ship, we actually stripped the individual components off of other ships that the Navy opened up for us to take parts off of, so that we could reconstruct the brig as it would have looked during earlier time periods. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to get notified when we're putting out new content. And check out our other social media sites where we post content just about every day. Some of that content includes pages from the ship's deck log, which show when sailors went to the brig, when prisoners of war were brought on board or removed from the ship, when other punishments were doled out, such as captain's mast, which did not generally involve the brig. So check that out to see just how frequent of an occurrence this space was used, and what other options were there, and what sort of punishments were used. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. And if you would like to support the museum and our YouTube page, check out the donate button in the description below.